What's going on, everyone? Adam Swartz here, and we are starting a new podcast. It's going to be everything real estate. We have made the shift to now have the top people in the industry to help out buyers, sellers, realtors, and other people in this industry that are trying to strive to the best. So on today's episode, if you don't follow him on Instagram, you live under a rock. Which the funny thing is, you live under a rock right next to the people.
Let's get you into a home.
Yeah, the next things that he kills also live under rocks. So it's almost like he's destroying the same people that live under rocks. So
it's like full circle.
Full circle. If you don't know who he is, you live with the people he kills. So that might be that should be on your business card. Be like, if you don't know him by now, you are the things I kill.
You know, I try to be I'm already an abrasive asshole as it is, but I try to be the least abrasive asshole as possible. So I might stay away from that one for now.
Okay.
Just for a little while.
But if he uses
maybe I'll have like a secret card, right?
Trademark. Yeah. Trademark. Adrian, get the paperwork ready. We're trademarking that. What's going on, man?
Oh, it's hot. It's hot and it's hot.
Yeah, man.
All across the board. The market's
still
hot.
Out working.
Still out working. You know, we're super blessed to be busy. You know, the market is kind of busy for certain people.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I've noticed a lot of new agents coming in. Mm-hmm. And so that means one of two things is in my top of my presence is that these are people that their preferred vendors have gone out of business.
Yeah.
And you know, it's always something I kind of pay attention to a little bit because it's like it's so easy to go out of business.
It is.
You know, you're one bad deal or one bad transaction, or I inspected a house in Redlands. It was a complaint call from another company, and there's like $75,000 worth of work on this house. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know who can swing $75,000.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. I'm poor.
Yeah.
I'm wearing the same boots for 6 months, but you're always one transaction away, from being out of business.
I think the thing that's hard for you, and like I was talking to a lender today actually, is like you obviously rely, on realtors. It's like the moment that person all of a sudden is not motivated to work anymore.
Yeah.
Or leaves the industry.
For sure.
You're like, well, shoot, there goes a flow of income that I bank on that's gone.
Yeah,
now.
I had this conversation yesterday with that specific conversation. It's what I call live by the sword, die by the sword. Mm-hmm. And I've worked this area for 22 years. And for many years, when I worked for the man, I serviced all the Stater Brothers warehouses. And it was awesome because it was a great source of revenue. It was probably 65% of my income was just based off servicing the Stater Brothers warehouses. But at the same time, when it came out to bid and a couple other companies were coming in to bid the warehouses, I looked at it and I go, if Gronk lose Staters, Gronk go no money. Gronk no have food for a woman. It was this really obvious thing. And I was like, I need to diversify more portfolio a little bit and spread it apart. So while it's always great as an affiliate or a vendor to work with a top producing team, if you lose that team, you're in big trouble at the same time. Or if they decide that they want to be a lender or, retire and move to Barbados. I mean, any one of 10,000 different things, go to jail, right? I mean, Jesus.
Who knows?
Anymore, who knows?
But that's the thing too, and I think that's how that's why I always laugh when I see like new real estate agents come into the market and then like they pop off like 1, 2, 3, maybe 3, 4 pops right off the bat. You're like, okay, so you knocked out your aunt, your cousin, and your mom. Cool.
And your neighbor.
And your neighbor. Good luck now.
Yep.
And
now
we
what?
see it all the time. Like people will come out like a rocket where you're like, dang, that person put one in. But it's just like, sometimes it's their own house. That's what people don't understand with the life of social media. It's like, that was their house. Then they bought a house. And then they maybe help one other person. And then they go dry and then they're out of the industry. And I mean, there's a reason why 95% are out in 3 years is because they only have like their sphere of influence. Right. And then when that's dried up, like it's game over.
I mean, even numbers wise though, if you figure you run those 3 and if you're doing, what's our average sales price now? $650?
600,
yeah, 600. So you're talking about clearing, 17, 18,000 before your commission splits. So you're going to pull in 15 grand from every sale, give or take. Times 3, you're clearing $45,000 with relatively no costs per se. And then if you have a partner, a significant other that makes money, you bring in them $75,000 in income.
You're making $125K.
Yeah, and that'll carry you through. And especially if it comes on wham bam, thank you, ma'am. And you clear $45,000 in 3 months.
One load, yeah.
Ooh. You're gonna lease a Maserati Ghibli at this
100%.
time, right? I mean, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna lease myself.
Yeah,
showing a boat.
Yeah,
I saw Bass Pro Shops. You can get a nice tracker bass boat for $350 a month.
Dude, that's it. You could slip that.
Man,
you just got to put a pool in the backyard. So pool first. And
no.
That's the hard part too. It gets so shiny. You're like, oh, this is never going to end, and then it does. You know, especially like we were talking about right now. It's like, yeah, the market's hot on the sell side, but it is cold as ice on the buy side. And competitive.
Yeah, I think I'm really anal retentive about terminology, and it's not cold. It's just extremely competitive.
It's super hot as
right.
competitive.
Yeah. You're like you're working, because there was a time when I bought my first house in 2001, and we were like going out and looking at empty HUD homes that had been on the market for 6 months. And that was like a dead market. Rates were at 7.5%. It was just a weird time. And then again in 2009 and 2010, then it was dead.
Yeah.
Right. Where now it's like, hey, I want to buy a house. Okay, we can try.
Yeah.
But back then it was like you were searching for buyers because you had tons of inventory, but nobody wanted to buy them. So it's that the terminology sometimes is important. For like effective nature.
Yeah, I think the hard part is unless you're in it, you can read a million articles, but unless you're into it day in and day out, you just get feelings. The feeling is something that people just feel, and I think like what I hate about articles is like they're too widespread, where like neighborhood by neighborhood are different.
Right.
Where like you feel a slowdown in one neighborhood, and then the other neighborhood is hot,
super hot,
and so you're like that article is for all of California. Listen, these 3 blocks are smoking hot because I've gotten beat out on 20 offers on each one.
I think a good pulse is your neighborhood, your hyper-local neighborhood realtor, whatever memes they share.
Yeah.
Right? Memes are life.
I'm anti-memes. I feel so stupid, dude.
No, they're just a pulse of what's going on.
I know, but
right?
I feel dumb.
Because that, Bill, if you're an original person, like I don't share articles, I don't share memes hardly ever. Like I'll take a meme and I'll like create it, I'll like mark up something. Sometimes I'll text my daughter because I'm like old and not tech savvy.
Yeah,
like,
handle this for
Aubrey,
me.
Here, get my computer out of there, and But I think that they're just such a great pulse. I'll get on my Microsoft TV. Yeah. But I think it's a good pulse of what's going on. And I remember a couple years ago, like the elite market was down, and I talked to one of my Beverly Hills realtor friends. Shout out Christoph. And it was like 25% volume down over a 6-month period. I was like, ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. But it's different market.
Well, it's crazy about like the Riverside market where I'm at is like the low end is gone. Like you can't get anything under 5. No. And it's gone in one day. But the high end, you haven't really seen anything pop over 2 million. So like the high end's not moving barely anything, but the low end is getting
Sure. What's your square footage right now? Average square, is it 400, 300?
Yeah,
300?
300 and something.
Okay, so we'll call it 350 a square. So then to get over a milli, you're talking over 4,000 square feet. How many houses are there around 4,000 square feet? I mean, so it's one of those weird relativity things. Over 2 million, you're talking 8,000 square feet, right?
Yeah, but the crazy thing is that's why I always love them in this industry. Like shout out to someone like Brad Allwine, like who's dominated the high end market in Riverside forever for the last 20 something years. So when new agents come in and go, oh, I want to sell those houses, it's like, dude, those are so few and far between. Like, and they don't sell so quickly. I mean, they're definitely like you see the really, really nice ones popping off really fast still, but it's like, dude, it's just a slim market.
What's interesting about that person specifically is I inspected one of his listings about a month ago, and I was telling the seller, I was like, oh, he's so nice. He does such a good job. And she's like, we were actually, now this is an $850,000 listing in Woodcrest. And she says, we were actually afraid that he wasn't going to take us on as a client.
Isn't that crazy?
I was like, oh, that's how like people think. But I did a property in Yorba Linda last month, 7.1 million, and the agent double ended it. And a couple people were like, double end, and I was like, how many people do you know that can afford a $7 million house?
Not too many people.
You're running in that circle. You're stuck. I don't know hardly anybody can afford a $2 million house.
I got one person or two.
So I mean that's Joe Rogan. I follow him on Instagram. Shout out Joe Rogan.
Yeah, obviously he's watching this.
He's following us.
But text me back, bro.
He's got me on notifications.
Yeah.
But it's one of those deals where when you run that circle, like you have to be around that clientele of people. You have to be around that group.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've obviously done, you were saying Beverly Hills and stuff, when it comes to your space, when working with those sellers and agents, is it a different game than Riverside?
Oh, night and day, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it is, it's funny, and it's what is expensive. And I think that's the biggest thing I've been able to take away in 2 decades of doing this is expensive is relative, right? And so if I go to a lady's house and she has $1,000 worth of repairs, that might be expensive to her, where another guy $10,000 might be affordable.
Yeah.
Right. It depends on payroll and what their car maintenance is, and next door millionaires. So if I'm in Beverly Hills and the house is listed for $15 million, and I tell them it's a $5,000 repair,
It's nothing.
They're like, oh, it's my property taxes every month. You know, so it's relativity, where our price stays the same whether it's Hemet or whether it's Beverly Hills. It's the same, like it's the same hourly rate. So it's much. Now they're savvy, right? They're going to pay attention. Like, so what exactly are you doing? Versus another person might go, no, I can't go on vacation because of you.
Yeah.
But they're definitely more aware. But it's like, stop bothering me, stop harassing me. You know, if the gardener comes to my house and he's like, hey, we're gonna have a $1 a month price increase, I'm like, you're taking time, like I'm an asshole, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're taking time away from me to talk about $1. Like, I have better things to do, like go try to chase the birds in the backyard for no reason. So it's relativity, but it's also personal. You know, I had a property in Pomona, $1 million. Guy had $11,000 of repairs on this house, and he's like, oh, okay, you know, it is what it is. Left that house and went to a house in San Dimas, $500,000, half the price. $500 in treatment, and he's like, I can't. I'm gonna have a panic attack right now.
Yeah.
I can't handle this. I'm gonna have a heart attack. And I was like, okay, so for you, 500 is the break even, right? So everybody's tolerance is different.
Yeah, I think I've had that conversation with people where it's like, I don't mind spending money on certain things, but like, I hate spending money on expensive dinners. Like for me.
Oh, really? Oh, I love it.
Here's my thing. If the restaurant is in a place where the atmosphere is awesome, rooftop bar on the beach, in some crazy view, something like that, I'm paying for that.
Right.
To go to, I was talking to some people the other night. Going to City Hall in Scottsdale is super expensive, but it's just an office building. There's nothing special about it. The food's good, but I'm paying 3 times the price.
So I use the reference of Outback.
Yeah.
You go to Outback, you get a T-bone, $26. It's a good steak, right?
Yeah.
But you remember all the $100 steaks you've had.
For sure.
And I can tell you all of the great steaks around the world that I've had, and I think you're almost paying for the memory. Like, if you have scars, you remember where your scars came from, right? And it's that same kind of thing. Like,
that's why I like
steaks,
experience.
Yeah. Your steaks are your scars.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to remember if I have a $125 steak, you know, in New York, or if I have a $150 steak in Italy, like, I can close my eyes right now and I can think about this $150 steak I had in Milan, sitting in this back alley with my wife and kids, you know, on the cobblestone streets, like, but I can't remember a $26 steak
100%
at Outback.
Is there a middle ground for you? Like,
No.
Like Roadhouse, or what is that place called? Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse, yeah.
Yeah, Texas Roadhouse.
No. I mean, if I have to go there, right? But that's kind of like space substance.
It's just feeling
like,
space.
I'm just going to shove yogurt in my mouth when I'm in space, and maybe it tastes like chicken, or maybe it tastes like ham. But if there's one, I'll always order a tomahawk on the menu, because that's how I remember my experiences. Plus, it kind of makes me feel like a boss.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, if you can do that, like, I'm blessed that I can buy expensive steaks once a month. And so I have to remind myself that I'm not a complete idiot loser, and I can do that by buying expensive meat. But meals for sure.
See, I think that's something we were talking about before about buying stuff, and I think what people don't understand is sometimes you have to buy stuff just to remind yourself that you can. As dumb as that sounds, and all the books say you should, but it's like
100%.
It's like I've always noticed when I'm in a funk when I haven't had a new toy, right? Where I'm like, man.
Well, you go, what's the point?
I'm like, what am I working for? I'm working to pay bills.
What's the point of all this?
Yeah.
Right? And that's the Tom Ferry versus Mike's Ferry thought. Tom is save to buy, and Mike is spend to work, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I used to get drunk and buy shit and wake up the next day and be like, oh man, I gotta go to work today. I spent way too much money last night. You know, it's that eBay, the digital currency.
Well, shoot, Amazon, like, dude, you order it and it's at your house before you can return it. You can't even cancel it.
No, it's worse than gum at the checkout stand.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I need this, and it'll be today. But yeah, I'll buy stuff, but I'm a big believer on we don't know what's promised.
For sure.
You know, and, you know, I saw it in a time when, in the 2000s, 4, 5, 6, and 7, when people's like, oh, my house is worth $500,000. And I'm like, no, it was a year ago.
Yeah.
But now it's not. So the same thing in real estate, like sell now and buy now, or sell now and move to Montana now, or, you know, sell now and go to the beach and live in a trailer for the rest of your life. Like, go be homeless in Santa Monica. That's my dream, at least.
Well, that's what I always laugh with people is like it's interesting about real estate is that as a realtor is that we're always talking about two big things. One, how great we are, because we think that's going to get us more deals.
Which is better.
It should.
Right? Yeah.
And two, what the market's doing. Mm-hmm. But I've learned over the years that most people don't care how good you are, because I get beat out by a lot of agents that are not as good as me. And two, no one makes decisions. Actually, very few people make decisions on what the market's doing.
You know, I think...
So it's like, why do we talk about those two things all the time when it doesn't factor that much?
I think if I came to you... I like buying stuff, right? And so I like to buy just random stupid stuff. And I always carry a few $100 in my pocket in case I'm at a house and I want to buy something.
Yeah.
So the lady today, if she had her Beanie Babies, and I was like, hey, I'll buy those Beanie Babies from you, right? She's like, no. And I was like, I'll give you $100. She goes, no. And I'm, 200? No. 300? I'm like, shit, I only have $400 in my pocket. You know, but if she thought they were worth $5,
yeah, she would have sold it.
But they're actually worth $400, then she would have sold. So maybe sometimes you talk about what the market's doing so that if somebody goes, oh, I didn't know my house was worth that much. You mean I can move to, like, you know, we could sell our house and move to Texas and live off of that revenue of the home increase in price for years.
Yeah.
Or start up a business. Or, you know, if you could sell your house today and clear $500,000 and you could start your online bikini business, then you could live your dream. Yeah. What's your dream? Put a price on the dream. You know, if you could move and live in a trailer for the rest of your life. So I think that's probably like one of the more important things. Most important is telling the people how great you are. Yeah. And that's by far, and selfies.
I'm terrible
right?
at those.
If you're not doing selfies and telling people how amazing you are, like...
I'm about to actually hire someone to come in and do photo shoots with me because I'm so bad at taking photos of myself. That we're about to hire someone to come in for like one day and bring.
Why don't you just have Adrian do it?
Adrian,
he'll just take pictures of you.
Not a photographer,
right? But he'll just like take pictures of you.
He's terrible.
Yeah, like I had this.
I'm trying to focus him on just doing video. Like today, we're in the car and I'm like arguing over a deal, and I like look at him like, turn the camera on, dude. Like, show people that I'm working. The last vlog we showed me moving a TV. Like, I'm actually a real estate agent handling a transaction. Put the camera on me, dude.
This is the part that I want you to see.
This is the part I want you to videotape.
Yeah.
We're sitting in him and it's 105 outside in a van. Like, I'm negotiating a deal.
Yeah.
Turn the camera on.
Yeah.
Turn the camera on.
My wife and kids will only come to the office when I'm like having lunch at my desk.
Yeah.
I'm never there, but when they do come, I'll be like on there like drinking a bottle of water or something. I'm like the one time, and I'm super clean, right? Or I was on like podcasts all day long and I have no termite shit in my hair, and I'm like, this is the day you choose.
Oh, for sure. Like my nephews that are 10, they were babysitting like 3 weeks ago. And we went to the beach, then we went to a house, did photos, put a sign in their yard, like, we want to be real estate agents. Yep, that's all I do. Signs in the yards, photos, go home.
Yeah, they don't see the dark side of it. They don't see, you know, I tell people, I'm like, they don't see the sleepless nights. I wrote like a poem haiku thing one time, and it was like, they don't see the sleepless nights. They don't see the worry and the concern. Employees shut off at 5, and we work 24/7.
Yeah, our phones are always on, you know, and I think like that's the difference of when I hear people complain about, you know, owners make so much money or CEOs or whatever you want to say. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't believe in stock buybacks. I don't believe in that kind of stuff, especially when the government's bailing people out of money. But it's like you don't understand the stress level that if anything major happens, that person gets the call.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing else. Yeah. That person gets a call. And I think that's why a lot of realtors fail is because they think like, oh, I just show houses. No, you don't. Like clients are getting divorced. Someone dies. Someone gets arrested. Someone breaks into their home. Like you're always the first person they call.
Oh, for sure.
And then right now it's very emotional with buyers because you can't get anything accepted because it's so difficult. But when it shifts, and if it does, why is my house not selling? Why am I not getting this much? It's like, dude, it literally has. If you work with a good agent, they do not control how much your house sells for. The buyers do.
Right.
Like if you do the like photos, video, blah 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 blah, right? Like the buyers actually determine what your house sells for.
Well, you got to set proper expectations, you know.
Exactly.
And if I go to a house and the sellers have been there for 50 years, and I ask them, when's the last time your house has been inspected, they go, never. Well, I'm going to go, well, you're going to have termites. I guarantee you, before even starting your fumigation repairs, you're going to be thousands of dollars.
Thing too.
That was gnarly.
Yeah.
So the freaking this agent is double ending It's 1.2 million. And the buyer's there, and she says, the home inspector said there's rats in the attic. And I was like, yeah, no big deal. And I'm kind of like in save transaction mode for this agent at this time, because she's going to clear $50,000-$60,000. And I'm like, I just want $95 so I can go home.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, rats, all rats, all houses have rats. And she's like, my house doesn't. And I was like, no, your house does. I'm telling you, all houses have rats in the attic. You just don't know they're up there. She's like, no, my house doesn't. And I was like, listen, lady, I'm gonna bet you $10,000 that you do have rats. She's like, okay, I'll take it. And I was like, oh shit. I said 1 in a billion that I'm gonna lose 10 G's that she doesn't have rats. But now I'm worried about like, now I got to try to walk her off the ledge because she's going to freak out that she has rats and then she's going to panic attack, end up at the hospital. Now the real agent's really going to get pissed.
She's going to die.
She's going to die, right? And then they're going to sue me for like a homicide, for aggravated assault. So those are kind of the realities come to you. But if you're doing anything long enough, you realize what's going to happen, And I'm trying to be nice to this lady so she doesn't freak out, or these people that have been in a house for 30 years and don't expect a fumigation, or been in a house for 20 years and they're expecting a clear report because they have Terminex spray their house once every 3 months. People are just, I would say like the dentist, the accountant, and the termite guy. Those are the 3 things that you have the appointment and you just hope it goes well.
Yeah.
I hope I don't get audited. I hope I don't have cavities, and I hope I don't have termites. I'm like, yeah, but if you actually went through the processes and brushed your teeth and flossed and had regular checkups and you got your home inspected every year and you went to your accountant and updated every single month, you wouldn't have issues, right? But realtors don't control. It's what the buyers want to pay.
Yeah.
If I've got $1 million cash and I want to buy your $200,000 house for $1 million, that's what I'm going to buy it for. Yep. So it's just such a weird time because now we have people that have built up the equity to pay cash for these investment properties. I saw yesterday a guy, $206,000 for a 6-unit complex somewhere. I'm guessing it's Tennessee or South Dakota or something. I'm like, in the Empire, values have raised by $200,000 over the past 3 years. So you could tap into your equity and buy a 6-unit apartment complex in Tallahassee, or a condo over on Martin Luther.
Oh, bomb.
Yeah.
What's like crazy is like, I mean, it is sometimes mind blowing for me. Like, we just sold a house in Orange Crest, like 732, 80 grand above asking, all cash, closed in 10 days. And it's like,
cash.
This doesn't even, but what's so funny, like, this doesn't even cash flow that well. I was like, you look at the numbers, you're like, why would you even, your return on your money's like nothing. Why would you do this? And why would you? And I mean, they didn't know this, but they came in 35 grand higher than anyone else, which was insane too.
Some people like the solidarity of stuff, and it's like I was playing poker last week. We went to Vegas, and it was first like it's been open normal now. And when you're trying to bluff a pot, it's always trying to figure out the number that's going to make it work.
Yeah.
And sometimes and there's one time it's like I bet this pot, and I was like $60 into a $200 pot. And I was like, oh, that was the right number, huh, guys? Oh, you could have put $1 in, I would have folded.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So you never know. And so if you really want this house for any one of 1,000 different reasons, then who gives a shit?
Yeah.
That's why I buy $125 steaks.
Agree.
And you don't.
I would. I have. I just don't like it.
You go to Dwayne's?
I'm not a big fan.
Dwayne's is they have good steaks. I went there one time and cut my steak knife with a butter knife.
Yeah. No, listen, I'll pay it. I just don't enjoy it, all right? There's a lot of things I do that I enjoy, but I'm like,
maybe that's 18 years of marriage. There's a lot of shit you pay for that you don't enjoy. That's just part of being a father and a husband, right?
I agree. Do you ever, when you started, obviously you started, we've had this conversation before when you started your company and, you were out and the economy was terrible and you were door knocking and you saw the guy next door's truck always in the drive-thru.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and you were married. Like, what made you, did you ever think killing bugs would put you where you're at today?
No, not in a million years.
Yeah.
Right. Not in a million years. But it's also a thing where I thought we were poor growing up because we didn't buy anything. I didn't know we just had a really nice house.
Yeah.
My dad always calls it house poor, right?
Yeah.
We were house poor, we just had a really nice house. And we had stuff, but we didn't have like stuff, And so I think it's the same kind of balance now is we're at Havasu and we rented a boat and because I figured the math makes sense to rent versus buy one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do all these people have boats?
I don't get it.
You know, like, well, then you break down the payments.
Yeah.
You get a boat on a 30-year loan, and you're talking like $750 a month plus insurance and registration.
So you're G-ing.
And if that's your one thing,
Yeah.
and you don't do anything else, then you can do that. And so I think that's what a lot of people do. And you know, we talked about before, following successful people on social media is really bad.
It is.
Right? Because if I follow 100 people on social media and 10 people post that they're on vacation, that's only 10% of my social media friends are on vacation. But I'm seeing like Hawaii, I'm seeing Mexico, and I'm sitting here in my backyard with a fly buzzing around going, damn, what a loser am I, right? Don't follow freaking workout models because you'll see that you're a fat slob, you know, unless some of us actually get around to not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
But it's this balance to where even realtors, what percentage of realtors make over $100,000 a year?
Slim.
1?
Yeah.
Maybe 2?
Well, the hard part, it's so fake too. Like what people don't realize is like, it is hilarious how many times you'll see someone post in escrow, and then I go, let me look up that property. It's not even them. It's their team, it's their broker, it's someone like that. It's not even that person. Yeah. So then even I have to start going like, why am I even comparing myself to this person? Like it goes back to what we said earlier. It's like, I don't know if that's their house. Then they bought a house. Then it's like, dang, that person's like popping off right now.
Right.
It's
We're
even
in
like
a world though where everything is rentable. And I can go and I can get a fake Rolex, right? And I can go rent a Ferrari in Newport for like I want to say it's like $1,000 a day. Right? I can get a brand new F380, have my fake Rolex, and I can post a selfie cruising down PHPCH, and I can go, I'm in the business of killing bugs, and business is good.
Yeah.
And people are gonna go, damn, this fool has a $400,000 car and a $15,000 watch. I want to kill bugs. Where in reality, I use my credit card at 19.99% interest to buy this fake Rolex for $100 and rented this car for $1,000. Now maybe I'm going to get a deal out of that, right?
Do you ever worry in your world that it comes across? Like I was talking to someone, a client of mine, and I said, if I drove a McLaren, would you hire me? He's like, no, I wouldn't.
A bajillion, 100,000%. The difference in my thing and your thing is that we know how much it costs to sell a house within reason, right? We saw the signs. With the guy's got the 1% sign. We see Gil and his 4% signs, and you know we see the 5% total, or what's the new one? I see it's $47.95 total something. So you kind of have a general idea what it costs. With termite, you really don't know, right? How much does it cost to replace a piece of fascia? Yeah. Well, how long does it take? Yeah. Right, so it could be $100, it could be $1,000. We don't know; it's subjective. You know, yesterday I had 10 inspections, and they ranged everywhere from $9,500 down to $450. Right? Excuse me. So, if I come to you, and it's always the joke that I had. I lived in Victorville for a number of years, and if my price was high. If the person thought it was high, I'd be like, listen, I don't know what to tell you. I live in Victorville. Yeah. It's not like I'm trying to come out here and crush it and buy a new Ferrari, you know. But if like it was a clear report, or I was trying to make sure somebody in like Anaheim Hills was content with the quality of our company, I'd be like, listen, I live in Spring Valley Lake. It's a private community. My wife has a Mercedes. We're not messing around. We're not jerking around. Yeah. In reality, both answers are the same. I agree. The way that they're presented are differently. So I think that the average pest control professional makes like $45,000 a year. And so I think that to have that as a comparison, but there's a niche for everybody. You know, what do they call them? Waste management engineers. Yeah. Right? You're talking $120,000 a year to start. Yeah. To pick up trash cans from your hydraulic lift. It's
funny when people are embarrassed of what they do. Like I know someone that does trash, and they like are ashamed of it, and I laugh. I'm like, your job's awesome, dude. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we probably make roughly the same after I pay all my bills. I said, you work Monday through Friday. You are off at work at 3. You don't have to take a phone call while you're gone. You get vacation. You get holiday pay. You get insurance. You get a 401k. So you see maybe I get to do more fun things than you. Right. And I go, but I'm also single with no kids. So I'm like, you go single with no kids and making your income. Versus me, you would be doing the same thing I'm doing. Like, yes, I have an expensive mountain bike. You would have the same things if you didn't have kids and a wife. Like, so I think it's like relevance, but it's like hilarious when it's like, dude, those are good jobs.
It's funny though, I think it's relative too though, is that I work hard because I would say I've been successful about staying ahead of my wife's spending for 22 years. right? That's my claim to fame. I'm like, ha ha, I made more than you bought this month again, you know?
We're in the green.
Yeah, no, we're kind of like grayish, right? We're never green. We're just kind of like not dead.
Yeah,
and that's always red. The plus, right? I'm like, oh, what can I sell today to pay for this new purse you wanted, right? Mm-hmm. But it's different because I don't know if I wasn't married and had kids, if I would be so, air quotes, motivated to work as hard as I do.
All the time. If I had a kid and wife, I think I would be more motivated.
Yeah, because you have to provide for everyone, right? Like my wife doesn't work. She hasn't worked since 99. And so if something happens to me, that's when I got my life insurance policy, right? Because I was driving down the hill to work one day and I almost got sideswiped by a truck. And I was like, damn, if I got hit by a bus right now, like there's smoke. Like my kids were little. My wife hasn't worked since the 90s. Like there's nothing. You know, like got credit card bills, and we rented a house at the time. So I got a life insurance policy, did all that. You know, shout out to Saeed Al-Bash Insurance Agency. But it's that weird part of like they push me because if they want some stuff, I got to make it happen. It's not coming from anywhere else. I don't have any rich uncles. I told my dad to spend all of his money. I don't want an inheritance. Like I'm tapped, you know. So I just try to keep ahead of that curve of make more than my wife spends. That's it.
When was the shift? Obviously, we were joking when we started this podcast. If you don't know who you are, you're living under a rock. But like, what finally made you the shift? And it's embarrassing the conversation we had before that realtors are asking you how to handle social when it's like, come on. But it's like, when was it that you're like, I got to get on this?
I was always on it, right? So from back in the day, MySpace and Friendster in the 90s. And then I made a fake MySpace account of my cat just to see, because Tila Tequila had 2.1 million Facebook friends. Or I'm sorry, MySpace connections, whatever it was. MySpace, so 2.1 million MySpace friends, and I was like, I want to see how many MySpace friends I can make with my cat. And his name was Jack, right? And so I got like 1,000 MySpace friends with just the cat as the profile picture. And but it was really, I was trying to market directly to realtors, and this would have been in 2009. And it was on Facebook specifically. MySpace was kind of done, and really Facebook was the only thing that was going on. And so I started connecting to realtors on Facebook, and then I would just post my everyday stuff. And then I got a call from a realtor who had never liked or never commented on my stuff, and they never posted anything, so I'd never interact with them. And I was like, oh, they called me because of the stuff that I posted on social media. And I wasn't like it's just, for me, social media is like a live broadcast of what I'm doing, right? I mean, to an extent. Like I don't share everything, but you'll kind of have a good idea of what's going on because I'll share the highs and the lows. And that was because what I call the creepers. You know, people are just creeping and they're just watching you.
There's a lot of people that will never like a post, but they know everything that you're doing.
Well, and here's your shout out for your social media thing of the day. So what you can do is you can go on, if you don't know, where's the camera at? Right there. So you can go on Instagram, you can click on the bottom right hand corner, and then click on your story, and it'll actually show you who has seen your story. So if somebody goes like, oh, I didn't know, I'm like, well, it says right there, Kristen, you saw my story right now. And so, but I'm super in the numbers and analytics of things and seeing what works and what's effective. And if pictures of the dogs are getting more traction, I'm heavy on Reels right now. So heavy on Reels.
You get on this.
Dude, it's out of control with Reels and hashtags. Like I have right now on Instagram, this is going on like right now. So on Instagram, I have 1,700 followers. My first reel that I posted with no hashtags was 1,269 followers or views. My second one with hashtags was 3,562 views with hashtags.
I need to get on the Reels game.
And then this morning it was 1,000 views from when I posted this morning.
I need to get on the Reels game. The problem that I struggle with social is I'm not that creative, right? So like the TikToks and all that stuff, like people are like, why aren't you on TikTok? I'm like, I'm just not that creative. I need a creative team. And Adrian, I love you to death, but you're not creative at all. It's hold the camera and shoot. I mean, that's what he does.
But I mean, at the same time, like you don't want to be who you're not.
I agree.
Right? Like I'm an angry old man. Right? I'm nothing more than that. I just sprinkle with a little humor so I don't seem as tyrannical. And so if you're not an entertaining person, don't try to be an entertaining person. Maybe you're a methodical, mathematical person.
That's I mean, the funny thing is people don't realize I am not. I do not like. I gotta go to a mixer tonight, and I'm literally like, here we go. Like people don't get like when I hear the things like, oh, I can't do what you do. I'm an introvert. I'm like, you think I like going to those things and dance, monkey dance?
You know,
No.
it's a cheater though. I did one. My sister-in-law asked me to come speak to her school for career day. You know, so. Nobody cares. And that's always my thing. My number one training trick for social media is nobody gives a shit.
And no one's paying attention.
Nobody cares about your posts. Nobody cares about your things. So what are you going to do to make them? So what I do, and I do these little tricks. There's 2 tricks I do. One, if I go to a speaking engagement, I'll take plastic cockroaches and I'll throw them into the crowd. Because who doesn't love a plastic cockroach being thrown at them in the living room? And then I'll put like a $5 bill underneath the seat, and I'm like, hey, everybody look underneath the seat and find a $5 bill. And it's basically like, I'm going to make you care. I'm going to make you care about my wife. I'm going to make you care about my kids. I'm going to make you care about my dog. And I'm going to make you care. But I also have a service that I can help you out with. I can protect your home and make sure your home doesn't get eaten, literally and figuratively. But I don't know. Everybody's different in what they do, and you should just be you.
Yeah. Do you feel like it like that it's great that no one in your industry really does it? So it makes you stand out more?
See, that's my animosity, my bitterness right now is I do well, but I wonder how well I would do if I was a title rep or if I was lending or if I was in real estate. You know, like how much would I actually be making? Would I have a Ferrari?
Yeah.
You know, would I have a 70
like we transfer how hard you work in what you do compared to that.
Yeah, if I were in something else, if I was in the top, and I don't even know where I'm at because I don't pay attention to anybody else for the most part, but if I was in the top 0.5% of real estate, how much would I make? You know, if I was in the top 0.5% of lending, how much would I make? Like I have a general idea, you know, but it's always a weird thing. But also, Monday was my 22nd anniversary of being in pest control, you know, 10 years working for a company and 12 years in business. And show me somebody else who has stayed in business or even in the same industry for 22 years, like longevity. Yeah. I'll trade longevity for like money.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
And I think too many people realize that there's not that many people that have been doing it for 22 years. Was that the post you posted? They were like, have you been doing something for 20 years?
Lunch. Yeah, so let's do lunch. And I think I had like 15 or 16 people.
Didn't Geezer throw in there?
Yeah, but his was mixed up. It was something janky about it. It was something like
I did this
for that time or whatever.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Yeah, so it's kind of that thing. But we're in a world where longevity is not there.
Well, and because it's so hard, you know what I mean. And I think too, what people don't get is like, you know, we're going back to like following people, right? Like it's hard because you follow and then you compare, and then you have to remind yourself, you're like, okay, well, that guy been doing it for blank amount of years. It's like I get mad when like people that live out, they're just born in Beverly Hills or born in Newport.
Oh yeah, old money, right?
Like just born with people that have money and their family has money and everyone they grew up with had money. So then they get into real estate and they sell people that have money.
There's
like, I always say, I'm like, man, if I was only born in Beverly Hills, how rich would I be? Would I be the Josh Altmans? Right. Would I be able to compete with those guys? Would I have a massive YouTube following? Because what people don't get, it's very difficult. 2 things in Riverside or in this area. One, I don't show that many cool houses to put on tape. So like we were joking today, we're like, we're gonna start screw $1 million. We're gonna start the real estate of Hemet.
Yeah. No, we're talking $250,000 listing. Today's episode, a $250,000 listing.
Like, okay, we have a meth head across the street, and we have a homeless guy in the corner.
Right.
And this thing is selling for, and there's no flooring in this house, you know. And so it's like, man, if I grew up in another area, but then I always think like, what if I was born in Tennessee in the middle of nowhere and I was selling $150,000 houses,
selling $30,000 mobile homes on a regular basis.
100%.
I mean, that's the crazy relativity. I look at it as that I try to share my entrepreneurial blood with my kids, you know, and I try to teach them the things that I've learned over the time. And my big thing is like, I learned stuff the hard way. Yeah, man, I would just try stuff out, and some of it would work and some of it wouldn't. And then I swear, like, I remember the first time I was at some networking thing, and they're like, some title rep stands up like, here's your farm, and we'll generate your farm. I was like, oh, it's called a farm.
Yeah.
I just printed a map on Google Maps and like X'd out the streets that I had door knocked on, you know, and it's like, if I would have asked somebody, it would have been so much better, you know, or somebody like, I want to start this business. A friend of mine would start a plumbing business. And I'm like, okay, here's the things to do and not to do.
Yeah.
Nobody told me that. I just kind of went out and like, hey, let me spray your house. Give me some money.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the stupidity of me going into play. But I that's always my question. And, you know, it's there's been how many movies made about it. What would the world be different if I had chosen another route or another path? What if I would have known somebody who was a realtor when I was a kid, you know, and got into real estate? Because real estate's one of those things where when the market's good, agents are crushing.
Yeah.
You know, I probably think they have probably the most glamorous lifestyle because they don't have, and I'll get shit for this, but I really don't care. I've been saying it for 12 years. They don't have to do a whole lot when you're the elite agents.
100%.
Right? If you're a James, if you're a Brad, if you're a Lisa, like you're not doing a whole lot.
You're not banging.
You know?
You're not banging on doors.
You're not showing people freaking $300,000 houses on a Saturday at 7:00.
You're not competing.
You know,
You're competing for listing agents or listings, but you're not competing against that many people.
well, you're competing for listings in an air conditioning house,
Yeah.
sipping on champagne
Yeah.
on a Thursday night watching the Dodger game. You know, you're not out there crawling in an attic that's 135 degrees and, you know, in Hemet on a Friday at 4:00.
Yeah.
Like that's the relativity. It was last night was, you know, La Habra, 4:00 in the afternoon, tenant occupied, no AC, dog shit everywhere,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm a baller shot caller.
Yeah.
You know, like I am here. I am
made it.
Brett mother effing Rockwell.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the other issue is that the two things is that like one, guys that do $45,000 a year in bug and pest control, they look at you and they're like, oh, he's made it, you know?
oh, for sure.
And it's
Right?
like, I have to remind myself too, it's like, how many times do the top guys that are crushing it, what are they having to deal with? Because their life isn't perfect.
Yep.
They have many of headaches. So it's like, that's something, it's like, do you want to deal with that?
No, the first time I took a BMW and my tires were getting low, and I had to get the tires replaced, and I was like, hey, I need to get 2 new tires in the back. And he's like, oh, it's going to be $1,600. And I'm like, bro, no. 2 tires, not all 4. You tried to get me. He goes, oh, no, that's for 2. I was like, oh, shit. But it's you have this balance and trade-off of nice things are expensive, and when you are a top producer, and that's a relative term in and of itself, like you have headaches 24/7.
Yeah.
Right. I had a guy who says, hey, the transmission went out on the truck. I'm like, okay, take it over to the shop. Hey, the guy says it's gonna be $2,600. I'm like, okay, get it taken care of. He goes, that's $2,600. I'm like,
I know.
It's costing me $2,600 a day by not having that truck running.
Yeah.
So you need to get it back on the fleet, where this is a dude that, you know, clears a couple $1,000s a paycheck, and looking at the relativity of things. Right.
Yeah. It's just like this place, you know what I mean? Like people want to do this, and then it's just like the money never stops because you have to keep improving the game. Like
for sure.
How do I keep improving?
Constant growth.
Like I found someone gave me a postcard I sent out in 2017 the other day, and I looked at it, I'm like, I would have never hired me. Now I know why I never got called. This thing is terrible.
But at the time,
I was like, oh.
But at the time, maybe it was good also.
True.
Right? I mean, comparative, like if you look at like a movie, I mean, we're watching 4K streaming on our phones in Hemet.
Yeah.
Right? Where back then, where we'd be happy to watch grainy YouTube, you know.
720.
Yeah, right? Like on full Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah.
So I think things change. I think there's relativity. It was funny because I found my first flyer and I actually went on to like Word, and that I probably pirated the statute of limitations. I could talk about that now, but I probably pirated the freaking login, and I printed out a flyer, and it was like this grainy ass logo, and it said, does your my company answer the phone 24/7, 365? And I'm like, you call me after 5 o'clock and you're going to hear shit from me now. It's the changes and transitions. But when you're hungry, you do stuff. And, you know, not that I'm not hungry anymore. I think I've learned that there's more things that are more important than answering the phone 24 hours a day.
Well, I think too is like people get on me about that is like, oh, you just never pick up your phone. And I'm like, listen, if I'm in the middle of something, I have learned that I have to focus on that item, or that item will never get done.
Right.
So it's like if I'm creating a video, you just see a 2-minute clip of a video. You don't see
God,
all the homework,
25 outtakes,
all the homework that goes into
and the
like
notes and
Googling, like just shooting stupid real estate news videos. It's like, okay, now I got to find an article. Okay, what pieces are then it's like, okay, now we got to shoot it. Then I got to watch it. Then Adrian has to edit it. Then I got to make sure. Then we got to do a thumbnail. So it's like, if I get off track, we might make a mistake. And then it's like, even though I'm not really worried what I put out, because I put out videos. I mean, I said the market was going to crash when COVID hit. I mean, total opposite happened. Whoopsie. Whoopsie on that video. Hey, I did. There was
delete it. Just delete it.
There was a video that I did say that Purple Brick would be out of business, and they were. So I got one. I'm 1 for 2.
It's their anniversary, right? It's the 3 anniversary.
Yeah, they're already gone.
Yeah, because that was it was my post was like, didn't Purple Bricks know that the pull-out method wouldn't work?
Yeah, exactly.
That one did well.
Yeah,
but it's it's funny. I actually was at a property on Monday, and I started laughing hysterically, and it was a Hispanic family that didn't speak any English, which made it even funnier because my Spanish is passive.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's so funny? Of course, it's all in Spanish. Yeah. What's so funny? And I go, well, it's funny because you're here complaining about the cost of our minimum $450 treatment. Where in order for me to do this $450 treatment, I've got to somehow capture the sale. To even get to your place in the first place to sell it. I've got a $250 box that keeps me from drilling it through your pipes. I've got a $400 drill. I've got a $2,500 pump, and I've got my truck that takes me to get here. Like, it costs me $10,000 to get here to do your $450 job.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. So when you get to a point where you're making a video about COVID crashing the market, like, it took you so much to get to there.
Yeah.
Or people say, well, you might be on a listing appointment, and they're like, well, what do you know? I'm like, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here somehow.
For sure.
Either I'm your friend's mother, sister's brother's uncle, or you saw my listing sign down the street or something. But the fact that I'm here says something.
Well, and I think, too, it's like you said, like, why is it so expensive? It's like, dude, you're paying for the years that it took me to get this ready. Just to sit down this meeting cost me who knows how many hundreds of dollars. You know what I mean?
That's the trade-off, and I think that's when you're an entrepreneur or when you're a business owner, you kind of get that 24-hour mentality. You're like, well, okay, yeah, I'll do this. It's all relative, right? Okay, I'm gonna have to set it apart this time because we're not just hanging out having lunch.
Yeah.
We're actually networking and building, and I'm checking in on Facebook, and I'm gonna post an Instagram story, and it's part of that, process of, making sure that people seeing that I'm active and not just on vacation. Yeah. I use the vacation guide. I'm like, if I like you, you can go on vacation for more than 3 days. Yeah. But if I don't like you, or like I'll like deal with you, like day 4, I'm like, you need to come home, bitch.
Well, my thing is like it sucks. It's like, it sucks for our world. Is like, I won't post that I'm on vacation. Like, people don't know when I'm out of town because last thing I need is someone to see me out of town and then not call me. And as awful as that sounds, and you better be ready to pick up that phone call when you're on vacation.
It's a funny thing because fortunately nobody's going to watch this video, right? And we're deep enough in now that nobody's ever going to watch this portion of the video.
I'm going to clip this just for this point.
It's funny that I post about 15% of what I actually have and do, right? It's such a small amount. We went to Italy 2 years ago for 2 weeks. I didn't post anything.
Of course.
I posted a picture of my wife and I on our anniversary. I didn't put the location because we're standing in Florence on Ponte Vecchio. Yeah. Because I guaranteed that if people were to see that I was in Italy, I turned all my locations off, everything. I didn't even tell my employees. And I'm like, oh, he can go to Italy. He doesn't need our business. Yeah. And I'm like, so how is it that a vacation would cost me money? Other than costing me money, right?
Cost you money.
It would actually cost me business by going on vacation. But that's the world that we kind of live in.
Which is crazy because it's like you're on that vacation because you're really good at your job because the market has shown that I am good at what I do, but then you're going to not use me because you think I don't need your business. So then you're going to go to someone else who makes $45,000 a year who sucks. It literally doesn't make sense.
Or you have the other side who said, oh, I'll give this guy my business because he buys dishwashers for my orphanage in Mexico.
100%.
I'm like, how does that equate to being good business for your clients?
Well, it's just like real estate agents that will just ask for business, say you need to buy a house with me, but will never put out one piece of content on why they should buy, why they shouldn't buy, why is this, why is that. And it's like my argument, I don't know if it pissed people off last week, but is like no one posted about the new bill 832. Oh, yeah. No one posted about it because no one makes money off of it. And actually, agents probably are pissed that it happened because now they're like, crap, all the rent's going to get back paid. All these owners are not going to have to sell their houses now, the investors.
But that's the important part. If you're in for longevity, like I always pick on, Brian and Tim, shout out Brian and Tim. Their thing is they're homeowner advocates. That's their whole thing. And that's something that I've tried to be is I'm a homeowner advocate when it comes time to do stuff. And I'll be the first to tell people to not do something.
Yeah.
Don't do the service. Don't pay us to do this. My favorite of all the stories, the favorite's the scandal that I grew up at North Point Apartments, but I won't talk about that one here. But there was a dude, and he was in Riverside, and he found termites in his house, and he was 85 years old. And I was like, hey, do you have, are you married? He goes, no. Parents are passed? Yeah. Any kids? No. Grandkids? No. I said, so it's just you. You're the only person in this house, and you're 85 years old, and you found termites. He's like, yeah. I was like, listen, what I want you to do is I want you to go to Vegas, and I want you to go get cocaine and prostitutes, and I want you to go play blackjack, and I want you to call me and tell me how fun it was, and I want you to spend about $1,500 because I'm going to get more enjoyment out of you telling me what a great job with prostitutes and cocaine than I am going to get the profit off your fumigation. It's like, are you serious? You're dead serious.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of all this? The point of all this is to have a good time and have fun and enjoy ourselves, and I'm going to get more enjoyment out of that story than the profit on a fumigation. And you're 85, you're going to die pretty soon.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit about the termites? And he was in the wood streets, right?
Yeah.
So like they last a lot longer.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, the funny part of it is he goes, so when can you fumigate the house? Like, no, don't do it, guy. So there's a point and purpose of being an advocate and educating the consumers about that, versus going, rates are up.
Yep.
Prices are down, rates are down, lock your rates today. I mean, it's necessary. It's just not my style.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think we do well together because our styles are kind of the same.
It's a marathon.
Yeah.
Right? It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll be here as long as my wife can still buy purses and shoes.
Are you planning? Do you plan out your social media posts or no?
No, not at all. I should. Yeah.
It's just whatever's in the moment.
So I'm the poster child for ADHD.
Yeah.
And so every time I try to plan, it's one of the reasons why I rely so heavily on my office is realtors will text me 15, 20 times a day. Hey, what's going on for the appointments tomorrow? I'm like, don't call me. And they think I'm being rude or irrational. And I'm like, no, because I have attention.
I won't remember.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I'm in the moment of something.
This is why I have these people.
Yeah.
So, I'll have concepts and ideas, but every time I've tried to plan it, life happens.
Yeah.
So you look at a time, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do in the office and I'm going to do some videos today. And then I get a call. I'm like, hey, we need a second opinion on a $7,000 job.
You go take that job.
Yeah. Which one are we going to do? You should. I know some great people that do that. They'll have testimonial Tuesdays and throwback Thursdays and all this kind of different stuff. But to me, it's hit and miss.
Yeah.
If you plan it out, like, it comes from a time where I was promised so many things from so many realtors. Oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give you all my business, and I'm going to have this and this and this, and then nothing would come of it. So rather than have animosity, I'm just kind of like, you know what? We're going to wing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to block this appointment for you for 1 hour, and if you don't call me to confirm, I'm going to open it back up because I could be waiting and not be able to do that. Or I'm going to cancel my thing going to do with my kids, and your client no-shows. So
I think that's the hard part. Like, I think people don't realize is like you get so jaded in this industry
100%.
Because so many people will promise you the world, and then they don't get it. They just don't come through. Like, I have finally come to terms. Like, I'm gonna ride and die on me. Like, I'm gonna make it because of me, and I'm gonna fail because of me.
Well, stuff happens that's out of your control. If somebody dies before escrow closes,
Can't do anything about it.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So that's part of it. You have. I did the numbers one time. It was like 51 parts of a real estate transaction between the buyers and sellers side, and every one of those parts has to work in order for it to
pretty close. That's why I don't think we're ever replaceable. I think what will happen is that people are gonna get. I think we're gonna lose the next time the market shifts. I think we're gonna lose a lot of people because. And then two, let me ask you this question. I've only been doing this for 6 years now, but I swear the ability or the want of people to get a hold of you has increased so much now that even 6 years ago, I don't remember so many text, phone call, emails.
I think that the accessibility has increased.
Yeah.
I think that people are a little bit of narcissistic. and they want to talk to the boss. Like I get that all the time. Like they want to talk to the boss. I'm like, there's nothing I can tell them.
Yeah.
Like there's absolutely nothing. I think there's a weird portion of that, but I think that we've also turned more so into a texting community.
Yeah.
And that we'll take these little hits and misses. Like I always get in trouble from my wife and my kids because for me, conversations never end. Like they just keep continuing. So if I text you and then I text you a week later, like today, I'm like, we're still on for today, right? What I should say is I should say, hi, Adam, how are you today?
No.
How's your day going? Right?
Yeah.
But for me, like the last conversation
It's
didn't
still
stop.
continuing.
So I think that because that's kind of going on for a lot of people, or they may think it's minute, or rather than write a list of 10 questions, they'll just hit you up from time to time.
See, my issue is I hate texting because I'm so unpersonable in text messages. And it's not that it's just like texting for me is more bullet points, right? Like if it's that serious of a conversation, I'll have to get on the phone with you.
Right.
And the more serious, then I'm meeting in person.
If it's communication is an art form.
Yeah.
You know, and again, that lady said, you're so funny. I'm like, nope, just have one joke.
Yeah.
Just the one I repeat. So if I just have that one joke, I need to have the presentation of communication with you.
sure.
Where I can only do that with so many of the epsilons, right? ... It makes you sound smart if you know epsilon. So if I do epsilon and ampersand, you know, then it's like, oh, he's funny through text, but that doesn't come across as well.
Exactly.
I've been blocked by so many people on social media because I'm trying to be like funny, but it comes off as like totally assholey just because I don't have the ability to project that.
Yeah.
Where I never get in fights in person.
No.
Because people understand I'm making a joke of this whole production.
Well, it's like I like a laugh I told someone the other day. I'm like 99% of things that come out of my mouth are nonsense. They are not serious. We're just here to have fun.
Yeah. Don't listen to anything I say unless it goes to escrow.
Yeah.
Rule number 1.
Yeah.
Yep. Unless it goes to escrow on a report, ignore it.
Yeah.
But it's weird because we're such on this 24/7 accessibility. Like I tried to slide into Melinda Gates' DMs a couple weeks ago when they announced they were separated, right? And I was like, "Hey, Melinda, how you doing?" You know, and I'm like, "It's worth a shot." My wife would understand.
Yeah, of course.
For $300 billion, she'll understand, right? I mean, come on now. But I can reach out to Melinda Gates.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Right? Like, that's pretty wild. If they have a social media account, like, I was DMing one time with Jesse James from
really?
Shoppers. Like, we were communicating, and he's, like, total man crush, right? And I'm like, dude, I'm talking to Jesse James right now. This is so surreal. And then, like, because back in the day, you'd have to see somebody.
Yeah.
Like, we met Gene Simmons in Vegas. We met OJ one time in Vegas, too. And it was like we had to be there to communicate, like actually communicate with them, where now you can carry on, theoretically, a conversation with a celebrity. Like, that's next level. And so people, like, I guarantee you there's people that think, like, you're a huge celebrity. Yeah. You know, and they're like, oh, man, that Adam guy, you know that guy from What's Eating Riverside? Like, oh, my God. And I think there's that concept of, like, hey, what's up, Riverside famous guy?
Yeah. Well, I think what also sucks is the perception that people think they know me online. It's like, that's a character I play.
See, it's 10,000 times worse is I'll be out in public and people see me like, hey, and I'm like, you see me, you know who I am, I don't know who you are.
100%.
Like, I feel so horrible because I have, especially when COVID was going on.
Yeah.
You have to do air quotes when you say COVID. When COVID was going on, people had masks on.
And you didn't know.
And I'm like, I don't know, you're wearing a mask and sunglasses and a hat, and I have a uniform on.
And I drive a van with my face on the side of it, so you obviously know who's getting out of the van.
So that is a real problem, right? And then people drive by and they're honking at you, and you don't know if you cut them off, or if they know you. Like, it's...
Or I'm driving too slow.
Yep, that's not a problem for me.
That's 100% my problem. So why don't we lead on this, man? We've been doing this for an hour now. I could chat with you forever. But what's some things you're going to see? You know, obviously I truly believe in the industry, real estate industry in general, in the Inland Empire. That's all I really focus on. You definitely do a great job on social. The smartest thing you do, and I tell people to do this all the time, is you take pictures of people's signs. And as dumb as that sounds to people, I go, they will share it. I have a buddy who does trash removal. I said, if you do a house with a real estate agent sign in the front yard, you post that sign. Yep. And they will share it. They will share it. Everybody is a narcissist. All of us. And it's kind of one of those combinations is, at the same time, like, if I inspect your sign, your property, and it's a funny one because when I did the Riverside house, it was your listing, but I was there for another agent. Yeah. That was so I'm like, what do I do? Oh my God. So I just pick a picture of the termites, right? But if you don't know what to post, and
I call it chicken and a biscuit, right? Chicken and a biscuit, just talk about chicken and a biscuit. And when the person says, what? Then you have started a conversation. If you don't know what to post and I post a picture of your listing sign, you're going to post it.
Oh, 100%.
Something.
Definitely share it.
Right? And then what's going to happen is other people are going to see that post and they're going to see another post and tag the shit out of any person that you ever can. It's the most basic social media 101 thing. But it's also, simple. It's appreciation at the same time. Give them something to post, man. Give the people what they want. Let them
Well, because agents are 95% of them are terrible at making content themselves. So they see you making content for them and they can post it. Right. They're like, oh my God, I have something to post today.
Something.
And it's, look at me, I have a listing.
Hey, right? I'm doing something productive today.
Exactly.
This is one of my 3 listings all year that I'm going to do.
Exactly. And it's actually my house.
It's my mom's house.
It's actually my house and my mom's house. It's actually, I rent from my parents.
It's their
and they're actually kicking me out.
Property.
And I'm doing this for $0. But people think I'm crushing it. 2021. Hashtag top real estate agent. Hashtag crushing
top
the
producers.
game. Hashtag $1 million listing when it's
at
not.
Josh Flagg.
Yeah.
At Josh Altman.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
next top real estate agent, Riverside.
Hashtag my mom loves me.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the time, dude.
Always.
I literally think more people need to follow you. So if you don't follow him, I don't care what part of the industry you're in. If you're a brand new agent, if you're any agent, loan officer, escrow, title, bugs, whatever. Like, follow the guy that crushes the game in his industry.
Remove bugs, insert your thing.
Exactly. That's it.
You sell more houses, I make more money. That's what I like.
Yeah, perfect. Appreciate you guys listening. Until next time, peace.